Cambodia. Thank you for joining us today, for joining our program today. The first question, I would like you to introduce yourself and about the company. ជាដំបូងសូមឲ្យលោកណែនាំពីខ្លួនក៏ដូចជាប្រតិបត្តិការរបស់ក្រុមហ៊ុន Fincy នៅកម្ពុជាផ្ទាល់
Okay. I'm Douglas Gunn, the Group CEO for Fincy. We are based in Singapore. We have recently come to Cambodia in January 2020 this year. We have started this mobile application which help consumers like you and me to travel anywhere in Southeast Asia without having to bring any cash. So we can go to Thailand and we can pay in Thai baht. We can go to Singapore. We can pay in Singapore dollar anytime. Yeah. So that is what we're doing.
Yeah. The most question, like we know, the economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in most of company worldwide, while Fincy investing to Cambodia. I would like to ask you that could you share what is the reason why we have to create Fincy, and what is the deciding factor in entering fintech market of Cambodia? Yeah.
Cambodia has 16 million people. The majority of the people in Cambodia are very young, and everyone in Cambodia uses a smartphone. So we believe that this market, also because its main currency is besides the Khmer Rio, is also US dollar. So we believe that there's a lot of opportunity for companies in Southeast Asia to come to Cambodia to start their business, especially in the area of
The next question, what is the smart city, and what does the Internet of Things and enable smart city mean, and what is the role of Fincy technology play?
Uh, have you seen the movie Blade Runner or iRobot? Yeah, so a smart city looks something like that, where everything is connected, the transportation is very smooth, there's clean water everywhere, electricity is very smooth, and all the technology is connected to each other. Yeah, so that's what smart city looks like. And then for Fincy, we partner with many hardware providers, like for example the smart water meter and the electricity meter, so that when the consumer consume the electricity or water at home, they can pay through the phone by the second. They don't have to wait for the bill to come. And we also can use Fincy as one of the identification for travel in the future.
That's interesting. In what way of Fincy creating technologies that is changing the way we live?
Um, as a businessman, I travel a lot all over the world. I look very young, but actually I have been traveling for 20 years. Yeah, so every time when you travel, you will go to an airport, and as a business traveler, you only have time to change money at the airport. And at the airport, when you change money, it's very expensive. You will lose about 3 to 10% of whatever you can get maybe in your local country or in the city. But I have no time, and I end up having a lot of different currencies at home. Like I have the Dubai AED, I have the American US dollar, I have Chinese RMB, I have Thai baht. I have so many different currencies everywhere. So I think why can't I just put all of this onto a mobile app, and then as a user, I can just use my mobile app money to pay anywhere, anytime, any day. So I don't have to change money anymore. So it saves my time and it helps everyone.
Uh, how will the Fancy take advantage of emerging technologies in incorporate them into the business strategy?
In China, payment service providers they incorporate AI solution to discover the credit rating of a consumer through their spending pattern. In Cambodia, there is the Bakong project that uses the distributed ledger technology to try and connect the banks, the financial institution, the payment service providers, and the businesses. So for Fincy, we think that this is something that we can do as well. So we can explore AI and distributed ledger technology to build Fincy.
Like we know, the Cambodian government is supportive and digitization and the advancement in the finance sectors. So, how does the fintech company fit and share the ideal of this effort?
Yeah. Earlier, I mentioned that the Cambodian government has the Bakong project that's ongoing, and they're connecting the bank, the payment service provider, the microfinance institution, and businesses together. We believe that this is one area that Fincy can definitely work very closely with the Bakong project, and as well as provide more value-added services towards this infrastructure that the government is creating.
In the item of effort to promote and expand equity and social inclusion for the citizen from all economic background and age groups. What are some of the innovative fancy is undertaking to address about this?
Mm. So, Fincy has dedicated a few $1 million to build the Cambodian business. Right now, we have about 50 plus employees in Phnom Penh, and then we are expanding to Sihanoukville next month. So, for Fincy, we are also dedicating a $250,000 US dollars marketing grant, to help small businesses to market themselves online with Fincy.
Yes, one more important question. Are those people challenge faced by Singapore before its smart city were successful built? What will the virtuals contribute and the fintech industry has done in order for your country?
So, Singapore started quite early to implement finance technology into the whole infrastructure. So, in the very early days, you can use your Visa and MasterCard to access all the public transportation. And the banks, they have an interbank solution called NETS, and that allows all the banks to instantly transfer from one account to another account from a different bank. And then later, they introduced a new technology called FAST, that allows them to do the mobile banking and internet transfer immediately, instantly. And then there is the new SGQR, so it's a QR code concept, which allows one QR code for one merchant, so that this merchant can then accept any form of payment service from the many payment service providers.
Uh, like we already know, smart city development is an ambitious undertaking which requires public-private sector cooperation. Does Fincy have a role to play in public-private dialogues? And how you see Fincy expertise in fintechs influencing such as a cooperation?
For the public-private sector, I think there's a lot of opportunities to work together, especially with the introduction of the Bakong project from the Cambodian government. I think that's a very big initiative that they have. Fincy hope to participate in that, and also Fincy can actually provide all the value-added services, like the community management, the dissemination of some announcement, especially during the pandemic, COVID-19, or even smaller things like being able to pay for their rent, being able to pay for their utilities. All this will be things that we can add as a value added service through the public private sector partnership.
Yes, as the smart city continue to develop access the years, they will what what are the global implication and do you see the Fincy on more global poster or if so, what would it look like for Fincy? Yeah.
So when we started Fincy, it was with the idea that we can travel anywhere with just one mobile app without having to change money when we arrive at the airport. So we believe that Fincy definitely have a role in the global play, especially once we enter more countries and allow more users to travel to more places without having the need to change money locally.
Yes. In your opinions, is Cambodia is ready to have its smart city built already?
Yeah, definitely. I think Cambodia. I read in the news. There is the smart city initiative at Phnom Penh, Siem Reap, and Battambang. So I believe that the Cambodian government is already building something in these cities to drive the smart city adoption.
So, what are the Fincy plan for moving forward to the market of Cambodia?
At the moment, Fincy is only in Phnom Penh. Next month, we will start to expand ourselves in Sihanoukville. And then we heard from the locals that in October, November, December is the peak period for Siem Reap. So we hope to enter Siem Reap in October. We hope that by October the COVID will be in control for most part of Asia, so that they can start coming to Siem Reap.
Okay, that's really great that Fincy uh, bring the new technology into the market of Cambodia. And thank you, Mr.
Thank
Douglas,
you.
for joining our program today.